Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, dear brothers and sisters. Today we are going to be continuing our series on common questions and answers. With today's topic, we have been receiving a question from some of the sources asking what are the rights and obligations of each of the spouses in the marriage, specifically on the topic of intimacy. So we'll go ahead and turn it to Sheikh Mujtaba Khaliq to be able to go ahead and guide us on this with regards to the Islamic perspective. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Once again, we meet with questions and addressing them, inshallah, to the best of my ability. And I hope that we benefit from these sessions. And I do encourage mu'mineen and mu'minat to share their comments and questions so we can elaborate further, perhaps in future, even more live sessions. With regards to the rights of the husband and the wife, specifically in this department, intimacy-wise, one thing that we need to highlight is that the marriage and the contract of marriage between husband and wife in Islam is to provide the needs for one another, because we need one another to complete each other. She is, as they refer to, the better half. She is his better half, he is her better half. Or, as Islam refers to the husband and the wife as libas, the cover. Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahun. Libas covers one for warmth, also covers the errors. One of the areas that as human beings we have needs, both men and women, is the need for intimacy. And marriage, one of the purposes of marriage is to complete an individual and fulfill their needs. And therefore, it is important for both parties to recognize the fact that they are to fulfill the needs of their spouse. In Islam, husband has to fulfill the needs of his wife in this regard, and it is recommended also for him to even groom himself, clean himself, perfume himself, and always be well presented. And similarly, it is recommended for the wife to always be well presented and perfume herself for her husband. In fact, perfume should be for the husband, of the wife specifically, so she's not luring anyone else or turning anyone else's heads. Rather, she is fulfilling the needs of the husband. And it is important for women to realize, and this is an important issue, that the husband's need to be fulfilled. It is otherwise it's going to cause problems for him, and therefore for them as a husband and wife. It should be a loving relationship. When one recognizes that their beloved is hungry or thirsty, they provide water or food for them. When one recognizes that their beloved has needs, they have to fulfill their needs out of love for them and not consider that as a burden or a duty. Rather, out of love, they should fulfill that. And Islamically, wife should not turn away or reject a husband, nor should a husband reject a wife when she has those needs. Now, maybe in some cases one has more than the other, Allahu A'lam. However, each of them should provide for one another, which is the halal that they should provide. Otherwise, God forbid, he falls in haram and or she falls in haram, and therefore the other party has failed in fulfilling the needs of their party. This is important to keep in mind, my dear brothers and sisters, because it is one of the areas that is often neglected and often could lead to serious problems between a husband and wife if they can warm things up and turn that candle and be the warmth for one another, as Quran again mentions, "Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun." They could prevent many, many problems that occur in the house and amongst households. I think this
Any
suffices
consequences?
for
Is
a
there any
short.
consequences that have been highlighted for lack of?
Ahsan. So in fact the Quranic um, command or the one of the concepts that often people misunderstand and think it's only about intimacy, the concept of nushuz. It is one of the signs of basically nushuz is denial or rejection of intimacy, but it is one of the signs of nushuz. And Quran says if you fear the nushuz, meaning if you fear these signs, you should take certain steps to avoid that. Why? Because it could lead to the destruction of the household. There are a hadith that suggests that a wife in no circumstances should reject a husband. Now, obviously, if there is a haram involved, if there's some sort of a situation where it's haram for her to uh, do certain things, she could, out of love, fulfill the needs in and excuse the frank language here, but fulfill the needs in other ways. Okay, she can still fulfill her husband's needs lovingly in other ways, even if certain things are haram. So what I'm trying to say here is, and for both parties, this applies for both parties. Even if it is haram to do something specific, one could fulfill the emotional and therefore other needs of their spouse in other way, lovingly and being considerate. I hope that
Yes.
for now, for a short session, I think this
Right.
suffices, unless there are
Yeah,
others.
no, like what is the Islamic uh what is the penalty? Is there been anything described for anyone who does not adhere to the Islamic injunctions on this?
Yeah. Now, in terms of there are jurisprudential consequences and there are ethical consequences. And I think if we can perhaps discuss the ethical consequences in a separate session, jurisprudentially and Nashes, there are consequences, obviously, for both parties. And perhaps we can elaborate on those. The ahadith are very harsh, to be honest, and I want to keep it to that limited to that term. But the hadith are very, very harsh on a spouse that does not or rejects their spouse and does not fulfill their needs. And there are both consequences in terms of jurisprudential and ethical, but inshallah we can elaborate on those in future sessions, inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you.